I like to, let me see. Okay, grace and peace, everybody. Let me just do me a favor and type a one. We're not late. I try to be on time. I see we already have 43 people in the room. Just do me a, all right, here they are. I can see them on the screen now. I think it's better when I can see everybody like this. Let me try to turn this up. Man, brother, we have been trying to get in touch with you for the longest. You definitely a busy brother. I'm gonna let me see, they're coming in. All right, we're gonna give them some time to come in. But I want you for we get all type of people on here, but for those that don't know you, um, tell us who you are. Take your time, tell us about yourself. Who are you, and how did you come to do the things that you're doing? I want you to take your time with this. If we have to get you back on again, we'll definitely do it. But I want you to take your time because I have not only a messianic, but I have a large Christian audience too, and I want everybody to know and get and make sure they have a clear understanding. Come on, sir.
All right. Well, hey, brother Brian, I'm grateful to be on with you. I know we've been trying to do this for a while, and I'm grateful that it's finally happening. Um, well, for those that don't know who I am, I go by Brother Dana Stevens. I'm from Chicago. Well, I live in Chicago right now, but I actually, and this will be very important, for an understanding of where I was and where, kind of like the Saul to the Paul type of thing.
Amen.
Um, I grew up in southern Minnesota, out in a rural area, town of about 4,000 people. If you want to ask about our cultural diversity, we had I had two Mexican classmates, and that was it.
And that
So
was it.
that was it. I did not personally know a person of black skin or somebody that you would call black or African American until I moved to Chicago in 1994.
And how old were you then?
21 years old.
Wow.
Brother Brian, you're just trying to get my age out there. I see that. And I bit on that.
You peaked that already. No,
Um,
but go ahead. But go ahead. We got to hear this now, y'all. Hear this. 21 years old before he saw a person of darker hue. Two classmates that were Mexican. Come on, keep going, brother.
that's it. So after graduating from high school in 1991, I transferred to a 2-year school out in the boonies of Iowa.
Mm.
That was Waldorf College. I graduated there with my associate's degree in 93. I then spent a summer in Ansbach, Germany, doing a summer camp for U.S. military kids. And then from there, I transferred to Moody Bible Institute
Mm-hmm.
in January of 1994. And so I went there to pursue a career as a camp director. Now, I know growing up in the evangelical setting, us as kids would go to summer camp for
Mm-hmm.
1 week during the summer.
Vacation Bible School, amen.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go. So I was a summer camp counselor in the wilderness of northern Minnesota in between my freshman and sophomore year of college. I had such a great experience that is what I wanted to pursue. And so when I went to Moody Bible Institute to get my bachelor's, I was getting it in youth ministry, but with the specific purpose of spending the rest of my life as a camp director in the wilderness. And again, I highlight all of these things because it to me it just makes where I am now that
Leads
much
up to.
more
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
impactful, and it gives you an understanding of how the Most High Yah really does work.
Amen.
So here I come now to Moody Bible Institute in 1994. On my floor was one guy that was of what we would call black skin, or we call African American.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a Moody student, we were required to kind of find like a home church while we were going to school. And so as of March of 1994, after a couple of months being on campus, I hadn't found a church yet. And so a couple of the guys on my floor invited me to a church on the west side of Chicago called Rock of Our Salvation Church. I, being new to Chicago, brother, I did not understand the north side from the west side, from the east side to the, whatever side. But when we got on, now these two guys, ironically, remember this here too, both of these gentlemen had declared an urban major. Their intent upon graduating from Moody Bible Institute, and they had already been there. One was a senior, so he had already been going to this church for 4 years. One was a sophomore, so he had already been going to this church for 2 years. But they were going to be urban ministers. They planned on living the rest of their life in the inner city. So when they invited me to this church, I said, sure, I'll go, not knowing where I was going,
having no idea.
No idea. Except for as we were on the train, every stop that we took, I noticed that us with white pigment became
getting less and less.
Less and less and less, to eventually, it was only us three of white pigment. So we get off the train and we had to walk about 2.5 to 3 long Chicago blocks. And as we were walking, obviously, I recognized for almost the first time in my life that I'm walking in a place that we read about and that we saw on TV, which was a ghetto. And a ghetto or an inner city was a place where really us white people would never want to go if we didn't want to get robbed, if we didn't want our tires to be taken off or our hubcaps. I mean, all of the stereotypes and negativity that's out there, even more than me, and especially at that time, that's all I knew. So I'm going to be honest with you. I was afraid. But I felt pretty confident since these two guys had been going to this church now for 2 to 4 years. So we got to the church, and the message from the pastor, which his name was Raleigh Washington, him and a white guy did write a book together, I believe, which was called Tearing Down the Walls. And it was a book about tearing down the racial divide, the divide between blacks and whites. And again, now this is in the early 90s, 94, 95. So anyways, he talked about how racism or stereotypes destroy people. And how it destroys individuals' lives even before you meet the person. Because when you have a stereotype that's negative about an individual due to their skin color, it will affect the way that you talk to them, you interact with them, or even how you treat them. So he went into depth, and because, like I said, I never grew up around black, but I understood there was issues because you see the negativity on TV all the time. And shoot, I had family members, that would freely use the N-word. I had family members that would, call you guys as people of black skin, just stupid and this and, just negative stuff. So when we got out of the church, it had snowed while we were in the church service. So we were walking single file, and I was the last one. It was my 2 friends and then myself. And
on the way back home,
back to the train station after the church service. And so as we were walking, I looked up in front of me, and about a block to a block and a half in front came, it was 5 young black men. Well, right away, everything I was taught growing up,
all came flooding
back to me right away. I didn't have a cell phone, barely. I don't think hardly any of us had cell phones back then. But so I couldn't call for help. I had thought about walking on the other side of the street, but there were black individuals on that side too. So I was like, look, but then again, I had faith in my friends. They'd been in this neighborhood. But then I'll be honest with you, Brother Brian. I, as a man that loved God at that time, I also did not want the word that was planted in me through this pastor to be, kind of like the parable of the seed that was tossed
Mm,
out.
mm.
And so I began to battle in my mind what I heard from pastor versus what I was taught growing up. And so I had this conversation with myself, and I was like, okay,
And
now,
that struggle is real in your mind.
yes, it is real. And,
Mm.
and it was a real struggle. And I had to tell myself, okay, would you be afraid if there were 5 white guys? Well, absolutely not. So then why are you afraid because they're black? Well, because of what I've heard. Okay, you heard that, Dana. But have you ever experienced what you've heard? Have you ever met somebody that actually experienced what you've heard? No, no. So I was able, through the help of God, to kind of push the old aside and to fight through that. Well, as they got closer and closer to us, they picked up some ice chunks. Now, like I said, I grew up in southern Minnesota, and I suppose I could call myself a professional snowball fight, individual, because we get all kinds of snow. I didn't think anything of it except for like, wow, I'm glad I'm not in a snowball fight with those guys, because when that
Mm.
chunk hits you, it's not going to feel too friendly. Um, but I kept on walking, following my 2 friends, and eventually, my friends met these 5 young black men first, and there was, interaction between them. Hey, what's up? What's up? Hi, hi, and everybody kept walking. Well, when
Okay.
they got to me, I followed suit, and I greeted them. Hi. Well, they
Like you
greeted
saw your friends doing.
like I saw my friends doing. And since they've been there for how many years, and since they were urban majors, I figured they knew the right words, or they knew what to say or not to say, or they would know if trouble was on its way. Um, I just said hello. Well, they didn't just say hello back to me, but they greeted me with their fists. They greeted me with the ice chunks. And within just probably seconds, I found myself in the snow. And the biggest impact, I'm going to share, I'm writing a book right now too, but the biggest impact, I say, wasn't even the ice chunks that hit me and kind of left me a little damaged up in the face and behind my head and then my
Mm.
neck, but it was the kick and the words from the last young man when he said, "Welcome to racism." And
Mm.
so after they beat me up, they said, "Welcome to racism," and they ran off. It was at
Wow.
that moment that my 2 friends turned around to see me lying in the snow with a bloody nose and kind of cut a little bit behind my back and my head because of the snow chunk, broken glasses. But Brother Brian, once I got up, of course, again, you fight all kinds of emotions.
Of course, yes.
But from that day, the impact of his words, "Welcome to racism," never left me.
And for
It
him to say those specific words.
Those
Mm.
specific words, "Welcome to racism." But see, growing up where I did, racism to me was calling you the N word.
Mm-hmm.
Racism to me was burning a cross in your front yard. Racism to me was telling you a black joke, or a joke where you were at the brunt of it.
Of it.
That's what
Mm-hmm.
racism was to me. But when those young men beat me up, and when the last young man kicked me and said, "Welcome to racism,"
Mm.
I couldn't believe it was just what I thought racism was. It had to go deeper. And so, like I said, that impact of those words penetrated my heart so deeply that it literally changed the course of my life. After struggling some over what took place, and then struggling with God really, how do I want to say it? turning up those feelings and of those words, welcome to racism, I eventually turned and dedicated my life to serve God by serving him in the inner city. So that was in March of 1994, after I got to Moody in January of 94. That next fall of November of like that August of 1994, I changed my major from youth ministry to urban ministry, because that summer God made it clear to me that he wanted me to serve him in the inner city. And it was all due to that beating from those
Right
5
there.
young men. Now that I was serving him, I also said, Father, I need, or help me to understand what these young men meant when they said, welcome to racism. And so now for the last 26, almost 27 years now, I've been on this journey that God took me to understand to the best that I can as a white male what racism, stereotype, or white supremacy really means, how it has affected you as people of color in every single one of our economic systems, every single one of our from our educational system to our correctional system to the business system to every system that makes up America. Basically, white supremacy and racism is the blood that runs through the veins of the United States of America, and where I stand with white evangelical Christianity. And I know you have individuals that call themselves Christians who are not white, and they may disagree with me when I say that I no longer call myself a Christian. It's and this is a little side note, but I do that because although Christian may be a good term, or was on the beginning, I have to look like at the word, the N word. I don't use that word today, maybe not because of what it meant when somebody created it, but how it has been used. And it is a word that has been used to specifically, tear you down as a man of color. So now, as a white man, I've had to divorce my ties with evangelical Christianity because of what my forefathers have done with Christianity. So now over these past 26 years, Brother Brian, God has taken me on this journey. About 15 years in this journey, I started to question God. I started to question Christianity because I saw the unfairness. I saw the stereotyping, the racism, and the work of white supremacy. I saw how you, as my Black family members, were always at the brunt, or were always on the losing side of everything. And it caused me to begin to question God. And so in questioning and then going back to people of faith and Christian theology, I began to ask, why is it that my Black brothers and sisters, who at times you spend hours and hours in church, at least traditionally, and my white evangelical family members, we'll get to church on a Sunday morning, and if you go an hour and 5 minutes, pastor will still have a job. But you go an hour and 10 minutes, guess what, pastor? You may not have a job because, we got things to do. We got to get home and eat.
And time is money.
We got to get home and do this, But yet, when I went to the church in my inner city communities, we were there for 2, 3, 4 hours. Plus, we were there on Wednesdays and we were there maybe on Saturdays. I saw people devoting their life to God and to the church. But yet, my barely going to church, white evangelical family members were prospering, while my black evangelical family members were always running into all kinds of walls. Or my kids that were making life changes all of a sudden were shot and killed, or were falsely accused and put in jail, or their mother was wrongfully fired and then they became homeless and nobody was there. I couldn't understand it. And so, like I said, I went back to the Bible and I went back to my Christian roots. And I was taught then that the reason for this was because you came from Ham, and Ham was cursed.
That's correct.
That's correct.
But then I had to question God to say, but God, wait a minute. You said through the blood of Jesus Christ, you said through his sacrifice that generational curses could be broken, that family curses could be broken, that my own wrongdoings could be broken. So why are these, quote unquote, this curse of Ham, why isn't it broken? Because they love Jesus. They have the blood, and the blood is sufficient. And so from about 15 years up until about 5 years ago, I continued and continued and continued to question God on this because it didn't sit right with me.
Mm-hmm.
And so finally, it was a July, 4 or 5 years ago, this past July, another young man was shot and killed by police. And I was sitting in bed. And at that point, I did, Brother Brian, I told God that he can go to HE double hell. I wanted nothing to do with him, because the only answer that I could see is that God is a God that ordained the white race to be supreme, which lined up, whether it was taught boldly or it was taught kind of
overtly or on the low, yeah.
Through Christianity, there was always the teaching that us white Americans, America, which was founded by my white forefathers, was the land that was blessed by God. And then you look at the Jewish people. There you go. It was taught that way. And then it was also taught that you, as my black brothers and sisters, shouldn't be so upset about slavery, because at least in the slavery, you got the truth from us about Christ.
So you should be happy that at least you have salvation.
There you go.
Do y'all hear an echo? I'm sorry.
Is
your phone on? Let me see it.
No.
It's my thing. Okay. Type of one if y'all hear echo. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So that's, that's what I was taught. And so at that point, I just said, God, I can't serve you, because you said that you're not a respecter of persons. Yes, rain falls on the just and the unjust alike. But see, when one of my family members get cancer, they go to the hospital, they do everything in their power to save my family member. But when a black brother or sister of mine, I bring them to the hospital because they got something wrong with them or cancer, they're put on the back seat, or they die of asthma or simple things that my people do not die from. So I got to that point where I said, God, I'm not going to serve you when, to me, you're a liar. Because what you say in your word and what I see and what I'm taught through Christianity does not mesh. So therefore I said, God, you must be racist yourself. I'm done. I want nothing more to do with you. And it was at that moment, it was, Brother Brian, it wasn't an audible voice, but it was an audible voice to me.
Mm-hmm.
I heard him say, my son, I'm going to answer your question. Because I had been questioning him, like I said, for like those last 5
period of time.
All the time. God, this don't make sense. And I bury my young men that were, You justify a young man getting shot out on the street because people say, well, he was a gangbanger or he was selling drugs. So what do you expect? But what happens when those young men change their lives and now one of them was going to college and on his way to church, he was gunned down? Or what about the young man that I'm still connected with was 2 years into college, never been arrested, working full time, and then was wrongfully accused and now is spending life plus 65 years in prison? That's not rain that falls on the just and the unjust alike. That's a hatred that must come from God. And therefore, God, I want nothing to do with you.
Now, what's so crazy about this whole thing is that I run across so many, I can't even say young men of what some people would call African or Hebraic descent. I run across so many black folks that feel the same way. The same way you felt about Christianity, they say, I don't want to have anything to do with Christianity. And we have teachers and we have pastors and we have leaders that instead of facing it like yourself or asking God what's going on here, they're trying to make excuses. And a lot of them are trained in school, they're educated, they're ordained, they're pastors, but it seems like they're making excuses, and other people that are on the outside, they're looking in at Christianity and saying that this is part of a larger system. This is how come I wanted to ask you two things. One is, how did you even begin to process that? Because there are a good bit of Europeans out here that have been robbed, home invasions, raped, or whatever by black men. And they and their family have a hatred for black people. How did you process that whole thing with the guys hitting you with the ice and saying welcome to racism? Because you could have easily went and joined the skinheads. You could have easily went and bought guns and just, listen, if anything happened to me again, I'm gonna kill somebody that's black, and deliberately walk through black neighborhoods armed with a firearm, prepared to defend yourself and kill because you have that bitterness on the inside. How did you process that? Because a lot of people go through things and they're hurt and they don't know how to process it by the Spirit of God. Only God can draw you out, deliver you from that, and have you walking inside a purpose. I want you to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to get into what I call the deep state, how evangelical Christianity, and you not even wanting to be identified with it, how evangelical Christianity is part of this, is part of pushing this system of racism within Christianity in this country. Come on, sir.
Yes. Well, so and let me step back on here. So that night in bed, when I told God I'm done with him, that's when his voice came out and he told me that you're not cursed, but you're his chosen. He told me that you were, his exact words were, they're not cursed. They're my precious chosen children. It was at that moment he told me to go read Deuteronomy chapter 28.
God himself now. ISUP can't tell him to do that. God told him to do that. Right. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
This is why I love God. Because see, when I tell people this truth, especially my white evangelical family members, they think I've been brainwashed. But see, no black man told me this truth. The Most High Yah, God told me this truth. And then he backed it up when he told me to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28. And what sealed the deal that night was when I got to the verses at the latter part of that chapter that said, my people will be taken to Egypt again on the other side of the earth, to a land that was not their own, to a language they did not know, by the way of ships. And that nation would hover over them like that of an eagle. That day, that night, is when I embraced this truth of who you are. But now, Brother Brian, it's been 5 years of a journey that the Most High Yah has showed me, even like those first 26 years, that he showed me what racism means and white supremacy means in this nation, that it is the blood that goes through its veins. In these last 5 years, he showed me how the Christian evangelical church is the spiritual beast of the United States of America.
Oh Lord, my career's over on this YouTube. Ah, they all listening to. Go ahead now. I'm already in it.
You're already in it.
I'm already in it.
So this is what I teach now, Brother Brian. So those that want to kick you to the curb, you brought me on just to share. You're not saying you identify with me
My
on
mama
this.
said I was a troublemaker from years ago.
But you know, I believe that Christianity is a religion that teaches white superiority. That we sent out missionaries across the globe, just like it's mentioned in Revelations that Babylon the Great went across the globe and infected her evilness in all nations.
All
We
nations.
did that through missionaries. Now, again, I'm not saying to you that that specific missionary was going over to Africa or going over to Indonesia to infiltrate white supremacy or colonization. But when you're taught that your culture of whiteness and America is supreme, you automatically take that supreme mindset
By
with
default.
to all those nations and all those people, and you teach them that you are supreme because you come from a physically advanced nation, and then God entrusted us with white skin with the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's why United States is so blessed, because we send out all these Christian missionaries to advance the gospel of Jesus Christ. No, it's to advance the gospel of colonization and white superiority. And then we make a white Jesus to back up our theology. And when we eventually invade that land, we leave the people with a Bible and an image of white Jesus while we own the land, and now we have the culture. And that is why I cannot personally identify with Christianity anymore, because I believe personally that I have to come out of her to really understand what the her has done.
You don't think this problem could be fixed on the inside. What type of reaction have you gotten from, let's say, are you still in touch with your friends with the whole thing that happened with the snowballs? What kind
No,
of reaction you've been having from European evangelicals?
well, Brother Brian, I will share this. Even before I came into this truth, I was disowned.
Already.
Eventually, I don't know. Have you, maybe some of people that are, some of us that are on here, have you ever heard of the Navigators? It's a parachurch white evangelical organization. It started in the military, but basically what it is, it's an agency that I myself, if I feel like God is calling me to be a missionary, I can come into that agency. And then because they have a name that white evangelicals trust, I can raise my support to do missionary work. So the Navigators invited me, back probably in 2000, to join their organization to basically be a missionary that wasn't going overseas, but was spreading the gospel in the inner city of Chicago. So of
Mm-hmm.
course I took them up on it. I began to raise my support by speaking and visiting white evangelical churches. So naturally, the churches that were around my hometown, they knew my parents, they knew my grandparents. They were the first ones to begin to support me monthly to bring the gospel to the gangbangers and to the drug dealers and to those at Cook County Jail. But as I began to share with them the depth of racism that I saw, that the depth of unfairness, and the lies that we were taught about our Black brothers and sisters, they stopped supporting me. One church actually told me that I should become I should work with President Obama to fight for injustice because that's what I do more than spread the gospel of Jesus Christ. I told them that the whole life of Jesus Christ was to bring justice for the injustice that was done. But they kicked me to the curb. So most of them released me when I started to speak out about racism. Now, when one of the churches that already released me found out that I was teaching that you are the chosen people, they refused to allow me to attend my grandmother's funeral. That was 2 years ago, this past July. So my people not only cannot take that we're not supreme, they cannot handle the truth that we are not the apple of the eye of the Most High Yah. That Jesus didn't come to save white folk. Jesus came to save you, his own. But you know, we know that when his own rejected him, it was open to us Gentiles and aliens and strangers. But Brother Brian, I don't even really bring this message to them because they are so far from ready to hear it that you know, and I can honestly say this: I really don't have any white friends. I don't. I don't.
Maybe we should have spoke before we went on live because they know I usually got plenty to say, but I'm so, oh my goodness, this is oh man, this is definitely some heavy stuff right here. This is definitely some heavy stuff. Do you think if do you think white evangelicals in this country can destroy a lot of the racial issue, racial tension, racial problems we see with police officers and all these Karens popping up on social media do you think the white evangelicals can stop this if they wanted to?
You know, Brother Brian, I battled that. I battled that because of this. I know what the word says, and the word says that the Most High Yah placed you due to your ancestors' disobedience into this time of being cursed underneath the Gentiles or underneath white America. But what I do believe my white evangelical family members could do is, yes, make it very difficult for somebody to be a racist. But they don't. Because innately, and I'm still grappling with this with the Most High Yah, but I think innately the Most High Yah put animosity between us. Yes, a relationship with Jesus Christ should break down that animosity. That's what happened with me. When that animosity or that anger came up. See, when that anger came up when those 5 guys beat me up, I have to remind myself of the 4 or 5 white guys, classmates that beat me up over the years that I went to school. That didn't make me anti-white. So why would I allow this? Because my people, or all of us, period, if it's something that we already don't like, if something bad happens, we're going to automatically hate, but we're going to use that event only as an excuse to justify what was already in our hearts.
What was already a good point. Good point. What was already in there. Thank you so much in the super chat. Is this a question for Dana? You want to read that, Dana? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, Brother Dana, you're a Hebrew by faith. Only the bloodline should be called Israelites, though.
Do you consider yourself Israel or a Hebrew?
No, I consider myself an embraced Hebrew.
Okay.
I'm learning more.
And why do you go so hard also for someone that doesn't consider themselves an Israelite? Because you have dedicated, you spent a lot of time doing what you're doing. Like a lot of people say, myself too. You spend a lot of time doing what you're doing. Why do you do it? That's one. I'm gonna ask a twofold question. Why do you do it? And you think you're doing the will of God? How can you how can you, if someone to ask you, how can you claim to be doing the will of God but not embrace traditional Christianity or the word Christianity? Because this alone, that alone is going to trouble some people. God's will is Christianity. That's what they're going to
Yes.
tell you. Come on.
Yes.
I don't
I
need ignorant Israel up in here right now hitting me, sending me no emails. I'm interviewing right now. Come on, go ahead, brother.
I believe, number one, I'm actually doing the will of Christianity, because Christianity, the word says that how can you love God who you can't see while you hate your brother who you do see? So number one, I don't hate you because you're black. So to me, I'm doing the will of the Bible. Number two, the Bible says, and Christianity shares this all the time, that the nation that curses Israel will be cursed, but the nation that blesses Israel will be blessed. I can't help it that we've been duped by our forefathers, according to Jeremiah, that we have been lied to about who the true children of the Most High, who the true Israelites are. So I'm now trying to tell my people that we've been lied to. And so, according to your own Christian theology, you should be believing what I'm saying and at least looking into it, because you teach that God will curse the land that curses, or the nation that curses the true Israelites. You're cursing them. They are our black brothers and sisters. Now, why do I do what I do? First of all, I do what I do not even because I came into this revelation of who you really are. I've been doing what I've been doing for 26 years because I have seen the lies that white America, or that America, is being taught about our black brothers and sisters. I do what I do so that when I'm in the inner city, I used to teach my inner city youth, you are not what the news media says you are. Now I do what I do because added onto that, it's biblical. But I don't do it just so that I can escape punishment. I don't do it so that I get a free ride out of the turmoil that's about to come. My basis for doing what I'm doing is because I've been doing it for 26, 27 years, is because I have grown to love you as my black brothers and sisters, because you are beautiful people. You have taught me what it really means to be loyal. You have taught me biblical characteristics that white evangelicalism teaches but doesn't live by.
Oh
And the
Lord, it's
biggest
just getting
one,
worse.
the biggest one that you guys taught me was forgiveness. Because you have forgiven me, your enemy. That is an example, and according to the Bible, God said that my people will be an example to all nations of who I am. You have lived in a land where my forefathers and my family members have oppressed you and your ancestors for 400 years. But yet today you have me on a show and you're showing me respect. You're showing me love. I'm reading comments. Love you, Brother Dana. Thank you, Brother Dana. You have shown me the trueness of what Christ meant when he said, love your enemy. When he was on the cross and he said, Father, forgive me, for they know not what they do. You still forgive my white evangelical family members, even though they know what they're doing. That to me solidifies also that you are the chosen people, that God is innately in you. And it boils out of you. And I've seen it for 26 years. Just within the last 5 years, it's all come to make sense when he gave me that revelation.
I got some smart Christian friends, smarter than me, got education, write books and everything. Well, associates, should I say. I got some smart Christian friends, and they can say, you know what this guy is? You just got a niche. They can say he got a niche and he's out here and you're feeding black pride. You're feeding black pride, and that's not of God. What would you say to that?
See, that's white supremacy again. That's where the white supremacy comes in. Because I'll put it this way. I've been in the inner city.
Get off my live.
Brother Brian, we'd be more than happy to have you be a part of One Love.
You said that in itself is what?
That in of itself is white supremacy, because my white evangelical family members believe that all truth started and originates with us. That is why when you, as my black, this is every church that I started to get involved in. The white churches would always ask me, do they teach and preach sound Christian doctrine? I said, well, what do you mean by that? Well, no. What do you mean by that? So when you get these white pastors that say I'm preaching black pride or to puff up black individuals, I certainly am, because you have destroyed their identity, you have destroyed their culture, you have destroyed their history. You have indoctrinated. We don't have an education system in this country. We have an indoctrination system. And we have left out the beauty of who you are prior to slavery. You weren't lawless, wild individuals. And so I get that a lot from white evangelicals, that I'm a race baiter, or I'm a race hater, or no, I'll put it this way. A lot of those white evangelicals will also say, well, God don't see color. That's a lie. God made beautiful color. What God don't see is the stereotypes that man has put with color. Because if I'm going to go and get some roses, I don't say, oh, it don't matter. I don't see the color of the roses. Just give me whatever.
You pick specifically what you like.
Pick a color. And even in those roses, red means love. Yellow means friendship. White means purity. So don't tell me that God now removes color. And again, if we're going to remove color, it's white evangelicals' job to remove it, because we were the ones that created the black-only drinking fountains. We were the ones that said blacks ride in the bus. Now, Brother Brian, let me say this.
I'm listening.
I know that I'm really coming out hard on white evangelicals. But see, they claim with pride that this is their nation, and that it was founded on Christian principles. So now I'm only throwing in their face the things they taught me. And when I see that the things don't line up only with you, why is it this? White evangelicals had issues with President Obama because many of them said they didn't believe he supported Israel. But now that I declare that you, my black brothers and sisters, are the true Israel, they want to throw in the verse that, well, the Bible says in Christ, there's no longer Greek or Hebrew, male or female.
Some of us love that verse.
Yeah, but yet they're the ones that are protesting for gay marriages. I thought you said that verse said there's no longer Greek or Hebrew. It don't matter. Oh, but wait, now it does matter if they're male and female.
That's right.
That's the hypocrisy. And all of that back talking, all of those justifications, all of those misconcepts or confusion is all because they don't want to admit that white evangelicalism believes that white is right, that we are supreme, and that you specifically as blacks are underneath us. Yes, you were cursed by Ham, and you should be grateful to us. I had pastors that were inner city pastors, white men. And I always found it odd that every time they built their ministry, Brother Brian, they would always get guys from the correctional facility or from the streets to mentor and build as leaders. I asked them a question. Do you believe there's no leaders already in the neighborhood? Or are you afraid to really bring in a black leader because a black leader might tell you you're doing some things wrong in their own black community? That was the issue. See, when you mentor somebody, you mentor them just enough so that you still are on top. So that if you have something that you disagree with me, you're going to keep your mouth shut, Brother Brian, because I'm the one that made it clear that I brought you to where you're at. So you better make sure you don't step on the very toes or slap the hand that feeds you, my brother.
Yeah, that's right. I'm your covering. All that other stuff we use. Let me ask you a question before we get out of here. And this is important. This message that you're talking about, or what people would call some type of awakening, or with people that already believe, us people that already love God, people that's already in the Bible. How does that affect politics in America? How do you think that's affecting everything that's going on in this day and hour that we're living right now?
Well, I think we see it in the physical realm.
Mm-hmm.
The whole reason why white evangelicals were so adamant about Trump restoring white supremacy back to the stages of Willie Lynch.
Make America great again.
There you go. Because look at the physical realm. You as blacks are starting to think that you have some type of equality with us as whites. Now, to take that a step forward and you being taught that you're not scum, but you're actually the chosen people of God, and then to recognize the power and authority that you have in the true living Most High Yah, it's going to revolutionize the neighborhoods. It's going to revolutionize. It's going to bring unity. It's going to do everything opposite of what Willie Lynch taught us to do, which we have been doing all these years, which is to keep you oppressed and to keep you divided by making sure we do. You know, we used to do what to the strong man that was a slave? We used to rape him, beat him, humiliate him, disgrace him in front of all the other slaves to keep all of the quote unquote weaker slaves under the strong man under our control. Well, we did that with the NFL football players. You know, those are strong role models within our black youth. And look at how we degraded them. Look at how we try to humiliate them. Because if we can make Kaepernick look like a fool, all of these young brothers that are raising up with some strength because of their leadership and role model, we break them. And that's why Trump and the white evangelicals now, because remember, Willie Lynch said, if you follow my ways, you'll be able to control those slaves for 300 to 400 years. We're at
no
400
problem.
years now. So now we got to get back to that. That's what it means by making America great again. And Christianity only solidifies it
and aided that
in the name of God. And because God is so innate in you, because Jacob wrestled with God, and because, I mean, that's another thing that I saw even when I first came into the inner city, when I was with you as my black family members. When I would go to church with you, you had just a love for God. You even the gang members out on the streets, if they knew I was a man of cloth or if I was a man after God, they showed me respect. Us white folk don't do that.
Mm-mm.
We don't have that, because if we did, we would be doing to you what we've been doing. You know, that again is why you can respect and even embrace and love me as your enemy, because of the God that's in you.
And people would mock some people for forgiving. Oh, y'all so quick to forgive them. Y'all so quick to forgive those cops. Some people say that, listen, some individuals are so full of love because they believe do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. They believe they'll be judged in the afterlife for their behaviors. A lot of people said if these people really believed in God that they preach, they wouldn't behave the way they behave because they know one day they would have to stand before him. Come on, brother.
So
I'm gonna
then
read.
Brother
And if
Bruce,
y'all have some questions for Brother Dana, please put them in because I'm gonna get hate email no matter what time I get off of here tonight. Come on, brother. You got the floor.
so Brother Brian, then that's the thing that what was that last comment that you said? I had a
No, I was saying that
if they preach that God. Yes.
yes,
So this
yes.
is the thing. So that's what I wrestled with, Brother Brian. They preach this God. So if they preach God, why aren't they living like that then? That's because Christianity is serving the God of white superiority. And they are living for that God. That's why I had to remove myself out of evangelical Christianity. They are serving their God of white superiority. That's why they're trying to make America great again. That's why they want to build the wall. They are serving their God. I'm not serving that God no more. I'm serving the true God that tells me to love my enemy, that tells me to honor the true chosen people, that tells me I'm not the supreme being, that if I think I'm supreme over you because I got white skin, I'm literally saying I'm a god myself.
And there is a God complex within many in
Yes.
evangelical Christianity. There's a God complex. So we'll get a polar white, we'll get people that's speaking against the very words that they're claiming to be preaching.
See,
And doing straight witchcraft. Might be white witchcraft, but they doing it right in front of us, and people are coming around here saying that these are prophets of the Most High God, and this is problematic because we got the word in front of us, and they doing stuff diametrically opposed to the word, opposed to the word of God, and people are still calling them prophets and leaders and teachers of the Most High God. It's madness, and they're believing it. And they got tens of thousands of followers.
do you know what's ironic here? And you saw this in Christianity. They have no, or white evangelical Christianity, they have no standard. As you can see, all their standards, see, just like Esau, he left all of his godliness standards, whatever, when it was inconvenience to him. When he wanted something to eat, that's all he cared about. Do you know that the conservative white evangelical used to laugh at Paula White because she was more Pentecostalist? You know, they used to make fun of people like that. But see, when it's about white superiority, they don't care about those things. You saw them come together. Now you see them worship Paula White when she's calling all the African angels to come and help, restore white evangelicalism. But see, Paula White is smart. Most of these white pastors who have black congregations understand your dedication to God, and then they also understand your dedication to the man or woman of God. And they use you because they can use you. They don't love you. They just use you because you support them. I think that many of Paula White's black followers from her church would probably die for her, but she'd have them killed in an instant.
In an instant.
Because they use you. They benefit off of your dedication, your loyalty. And that's what makes me sick. That's part of what I fight through in building relationships with you and I, is because my people have always used you. And then when the rubber's gotten, or when the rubber hits the road, the first thing we do is we abandon you.
Do me a favor, read the screen. We appreciate you in the super chat. Read the screen right there. We're gonna have to have you back on. I don't even know what to say. I don't even matter, and I want you to give your information out too. I want you to do that too. I'm sorry, Minister. I should tell you when ministries in here, they had a question somewhere. But go ahead, read the screen. I'm gonna start putting up a couple of questions for you, brother.
Lydia, I think, just to be honest with you, that is so far from their minds that if I told them that he was black, and whites see he's not white, they are so outside of even embracing that truth, Sister Lydia, that I don't think they can embrace it. And then if he did come back, this might be a joke. A lot of them, I think they'd call the cops on him and say, hey, you got this man now, just like the Pharisees did to Jesus. He's an imposter. This can't be the real man. He's black. Have him arrested. I really believe that's what they would do.
You see this question here?
Why is everything political with evangelicals? Because who do evangelicals pledge their life to? When they lay their hand on the Bible, they take an oath for what? To live the life of Jesus Christ or to live the life of the Constitution? This is why I separate myself from white evangelicalism, because America and Christianity, they're inseparable. You pledge allegiance to the flag. And so God and the flag and the Constitution and the Bible, they're all one to my white evangelical family members. It's all one. So why is it that they'll burn a cross, but yet you better not step on a flag? Because their devotion and their pledge is to the Constitution. It's to the flag. It's to that. It's not to the life of Jesus Christ. Christianity is their way of, again, like I said, solidifying through the spiritual realm, through their biblical theology, why America is so great, why God has, I say this, God has not blessed America. America has been blessed. But Romans says that while God's hand is on the Gentiles or the aliens and the strangers, he was going to show them favor for one reason: to make his own children become jealous and return to him. So when America and white evangelicals want to say, well, God loves us, look at how blessed we are, he's blessed us. No, he ain't blessed you. Yes, he has, but he hasn't blessed you because you're great. He's done it because he's getting his own children jealous. See, that different mindset brings you from this grandioso down to a little bit of some humility. White ideology, that's exactly it. White is right.
If you could share anything, what would you done shared a lot? What would you like to leave them with right here? I'm just trying to look back to some questions. The screen's moving so fast right now. You got me. I done a few interviews in my day, but you got me with this one. I am at a loss for words.
I hope that's a good thing and not.
Oh, it's definitely a good thing. And they hit me and they asked me if I was coming in tomorrow. Because I'd have been on all day live tomorrow. No, somebody said Berean wasn't ready for this. What else would you like to share, though? What else would you like to share to let people know about yourself, what direction you believe the Lord is taking you with in your walk, in this walk right here, and what you're doing?
Brother Berean, I really believe that the empire of the United States is over. The religion of white evangelicalism is over. And I truly believe that in these next months and years to come, the Most High Yah, or God, is going to make that so evident. It will cause some of my white evangelical family members to repent. I'll say this: the same sun that melts butter also hardens clay.
The same.
And unfortunately, I believe the majority of my white evangelical family members will begin to harden their heart, because to swallow the pill that not only are we not supreme, but that you are his apple, is too much for them to be able to handle. And there's going to be, some great suffering. I see that coming, and I really believe it's going to. I feel the Most High Yah. My first job here lately was to really try to warn my white evangelical family members. Again, I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm a follower of the Most High Yah. I personally Now, this is me. I did not vote this one because now some people say don't vote because, if you're in the land of your oppressor, why vote? I'm not going to agree with that. I'm not going to
Okay.
disagree with that. I just, for my own mindset, I vote for somebody that I thought might be kinder to my Black family versus voting for somebody that would be more evil towards you. But the Most High Yah, this last one, I just know that America as we know it is over for white evangelicals and stuff. And those that went and voted for Trump, they sealed their fate. Because when they voted behind that booth, they forgot that the true God saw the intent of their vote. And if their intent was to restore white supremacy, they sealed their fate.
They see their
And,
own fate.
and because they call themselves people of the Bible, they call themselves Christians. The church in my upbringing and at Moody taught me that when God brings judgment or punishment, he's going to start with the church first. That is why I believe that white evangelicals now are going to begin to be judged harshly. And maybe the Democrats won't quite get that judgment off the bat because many of the followers did fight for justice. And Jesus himself said, fight for justice, fight for the widow, fight for the oppressed. So I believe there's going to be a season of some grace on my white my white family members that voted because they want justice to come. But see, even those individuals don't truly understand how inundated they are with white supremacy.
They don't even
Because
understand it.
no, because I've been living in a Black community for 26 years, and Brother Brian, for me to sit here and say that a racist or a stereotype negative thought never comes into my head, I'm a liar.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe we are on a pendulum. Some people are super racist, and then hopefully myself way on this other end, I have just a little bit of racism in me. But when it's kind of like, how do you explain water to a fish? It's difficult to explain white privilege to white people.
Mm.
Even myself, because I live in white privilege. I hope I recognize the white privilege. I hope that I remove where it's damaging to people. And I pray that I use my white privilege in a way that will be a blessing to the chosen people of the Most High Yah. And that is why I believe the Most High Yah has led me on this journey. Those two friends that were walking with me that day, neither of them ended up in the inner city.
Wow.
Neither of them. Now, for 27 years, I've been living in the inner city. That was my road to Damascus. Was I somebody that would look at you, Brother Brian, and call you the N-word? No. Was I somebody that if I saw you being whipped would say, oh, well, what did he do? No. But yet I was living in my white supremacy and my white privilege. And that had to be torn down. And over these 26 years, the Most High Yah has put me through many scenarios to help teach me and to show me. The word says that you will not know what will be gold in you and I until we go through the fire.
Until we go through it.
There is a fire that is going to expose what lies in the hearts of my white evangelical family members. And that flame right now is not very hot. And look at what it's already exposed.
Already.
I can't even imagine what you were about to see as the Most High Yah turns up that flame to expose the white supremacist, hatred, racist hearts that lie within my white evangelical family members and my white family members across the board.
Do me a favor, read Minister. Minister got a question here on the screen.
How does Dana answer the argument about Gentiles being spiritual Israel? Is that biblical?
Or type of replacement theology?
Well, I believe that's what it is. It's a replacement theology, and I don't believe that. I believe, the Most High Yah know who His created children are, and again, to me, to replace that is rooted in what? White supremacy. To replace something that was original with somebody else, just like, why would you? I say this all the time. And there are Christian pastors that will come and say, yeah, Dana, I know that Jesus didn't look the way that he looked,
yes,
but
they will.
it's tradition. Okay. Not that even if I said, okay, it's tradition, but education means you teach people the truth. Why do you refuse to teach people the truth that the image of Jesus Christ is not even close to what he looked like? And they walk away. So, I probably haven't done a lot of studying with the replacement. I believe what Romans says, that we are now leaving the time of the Gentiles, where yes, the Most High Yah gave us Gentiles, aliens, and strangers an opportunity to come to faith and to live our faith out according to his word. But my white evangelical Gentile family members have created a whole new religion, and they've created the religion of white superiority, and they live that religion.
And they're superimposed on the Bible, and they think it's the religion of Jesus when it's not the religion of Jesus. You mentioned, I think earlier you mentioned something about a book.
I'm in the process of writing a book. It's called I Know It's Broken, but at least it's painted. And it's gonna go through my journey of these past 26 years on how I came to where I am now. So like one of the chapters is let's play Family Feud. And this is a perfect, to me, example of how white supremacy or white privilege or colonization has indoctrinated the truth. So on this day when I was watching the Family Feud, there was a white family and there was a black family. And the question was, name the top like 5 foods for traditional or for Thanksgiving. Well, this is stereotype, but not always. Of course, my black brother got the buzzer because he was quite a bit quicker than the white brother. Us white men can't jump, and if we can, we're still not as good as you. But anyway, he got it and he said turkey. They won. Okay. They go to the next person. They said like macaroni and cheese. Greens, sweet potato pie. They lost that round. So they go over to the white people to steal and win the points. They say pumpkin pie. Ding, 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 ding. When they revealed those answers, it was pumpkin pie. It was dress or stuffing. It was mashed potatoes. It was green bean casserole. This is my point. Our whole system has been created for you to fail. Your answers were not wrong, but they were wrong according to our white society. And because of that, you lose. And that is what we have done to you for 400 years. We've done it in our education system. We've done it in our correctional system. We've done it even in our cities. Look at Black Wall Street. You were a booming, probably the most advanced city in the United States at that time. Out of our jealousy, out of our fear, out of our envy, we destroyed you in a matter of days.
You see, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, they're already asking me when when can you come? When can we hear from you again?
Hey, Brother Brian.
And please give your information out. Please
Oh,
give your information out. They don't know. I'll look at my phone a lot when I'm at work. I get a lot of emails, a lot of texts, a lot of stuff come through. So please give your information out.
yep.
How can people get in contact with you?
Okay.
560 people here.
Can I type it in, or do I just if you go to www.one love society, that's ONE, there's One Love Ministry. If you Google One Love Society, you'll find that. Or if you go on YouTube and just log in my name, Dana Stevens, you will see my One Love YouTube channel. And then
So the
from there,
YouTube channel is not Dana Stevens, it's One Love.
well, you to find it, you can type in Dana Stevens or One Love.
Okay.
But yeah, One Love Ministry right there. You can find me. We are actually we're a movement. We're a movement of individuals. If you go to our webpage, there's about 8 of us right now that are move mentors. We're a movement. Our job is not to specifically teach specific theological things that might be at different places, but our job is to teach truth of who the chosen people are, as well as to reveal the lies that we've been taught through the religion of Christianity, and to
People, oh my
empower.
goodness, yeah, people got a problem with that right there. Reveal the lies of the religion of Christianity. That's
Yep,
problems.
yep, yep.
Go
And
ahead.
and why wouldn't don't you think people would hunger and thirst for truth?
For the amen.
That's what you would think. You would think they would. I want truth. And if that truth means that I have to embrace that I've been taught a lie,
Traditional, amen. Lie, amen.
I want that lie to go. I don't want to live out a lie, and
I'm sorry.
the
Hold on a second, Elder Mike. I'll send you the link. Would you like to ask Brother Dana? Would you like to jump on for a second? It's like you just jumped in here. Is there a All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm trying to look at the comments. I clicked out and clicked back. I'm not sure, and I know a lot of people were away. Not away of having family dinners, and some people their dinners go over a little late. I'm not sure how much he heard. I seen some other people saying I'm gonna have to get back on here. All right, I did. Can you hold on a second? This is my brother right here. He wanted to jump on. I know it's an honor. He's a good guy, respectable guy. He want to come on and just say a little something. How long have we been on? I can't even see the time. I know oh no, wait a minute. We went over, we agreed to 40 minutes.
That's okay.
We
So
started on time. We started on time now, y'all. Don't get mad at me. We started on time, but here we go.
hey, this is a privilege. But Brother Brian, let me say this as
Yes,
somebody's
sir.
getting ready to come online. I would love to do this again. And then this
Amen.
is what I would love for those of you that are here to send you questions. And when I ask you guys or comments or things you'd like to ask, I want those of you that are listening in to not be afraid of offending me. I
Amen.
want to be that one white individual that you can have full confidence of asking whatever question you would like to ask. Because if I can get beat up by those guys and it doesn't change my heart, your question is not going to change my heart. And some of those questions, I can do nothing but apologize for it. I may not have an answer, but I really would love it to be a time where you can feel free to ask that white man, the
And I'm
question.
sure people would have questions. I'm sure people would have questions. Yeah, very,
Yeah.
very, very good thing. When can you tell us what's your schedule looking like? When can you what's a
Well,
good time for you?
evenings are good for me, Brother Brian. Evenings
Oh,
are good. So if you want to set up a time right now,
mhm.
we can do that so people will know, and we can do some advertising if you want. But we can do a Monday night. We can do, Sunday night.
Okay, Monday or Sunday night. What do y'all say? See that y'all got some choices here. Y'all got some choices here. Monday or Sunday night. What time is good for you?
I'm good. Let's leave it up to you, Brother Brian. This is always an honor for me. So
okay, I
got a
think
Sunday there.
okay, yeah. Wait. I'm gonna all right, y'all type Sunday night. Virtuous Truth said Sunday night. Somebody said both. I can't do it with these people. Let me bring my brother on for a second. Whilst I'm doing that, let me try to figure a time out. Am I echoing? Is that Mike got me? All right, come on, brother Mike. You've been how long you been on, brother?
Not long. I caught probably like the last maybe 20 minutes or so.
Okay. Hey, come on. Do you have any questions, any concern, anything you'd like to share with the brother?
Well, I just want to say, how are you today? I'm good. I guess I got a question, and I appreciate you taking the time and sharing information and being willing to answer questions. Do you believe that as a Gentile, if I'm understanding you correctly, you as a Gentile that you are less in the kingdom than a blood Israelite?
Oh, that's from picking up from where we were earlier on a hierarchy. Do you believe it's a hierarchy in the kingdom?
You know, I'm going to say yes. There is a hierarchy. I do believe that. But a hierarchy, I don't believe, this is just where I'm at now too. I don't believe that a hierarchy is the way that we also make hierarchy. This is the way I explain it. I have my own child that came through, let's say my wife, that is my blood child. But then I adopted a child. I'm going to love and protect both of them. They're in my home. They're both going to sleep well. But at the bottom line, there's a difference there's a difference between my blood child. There just is. But that doesn't mean that I value my adopted child less than my blood child. I believe, that right now we're in a time where there is a big difference. But eventually, as one of my Hebrew mentors taught me, he believes that the Most High God is going to restore things back to the way it was when Adam and Eve were on earth. At that point, there were no Hebrews or Gentiles or aliens or strangers. They were
say that part again.
That what I believe and what I've been taught so far by a lot of my Hebrew family members is that when all of this is said and done at some point, it is God's desire to restore creation in the
Garden of
way
Eden.
it was before the fall. And before the fall, he don't believe there was a Gentile or a Hebrew or an alien or a stranger, but that we were his people. And so do I believe, though, that there's going to be a hierarchy? Yes, I do. Do I believe that hierarchy is 100% based on blood? No. I also believe it's based on our devotion and our desire to serve the Most High Yah here on earth. And part of it is I also believe that the Most High Yah calls whom he's going to call. And it is what it is,
Is the hierarchy do you first of all you believe that, Mike, that he's going to restore all things? It's going to be paradise again here on earth, or you think angels and harps? And how do you think it's going to be? He's restoring everything back to his presence and his people. Do you think if there is a hierarchy, that's just during a millennial? Oh, I know Mike don't even believe in that, but I'm throwing it out there in general. Yeah. A millennial reigns, you'll see some type of kings and priests, and what do you think is going to be going on in the millennial reign, and how does that differ from what's going to take place in the end when he restore all things and made all things new again?
Yeah, and I think probably defining terms is important. So if one is saying a hierarchy in terms of position and or rank, like the scripture makes it clear that he that is faithful in that which is least will be ruler in that which is much. So if you mean hierarchy in terms of rewards or position, I wouldn't call that hierarchy, but if that's what you mean by hierarchy, I would say yes. If you mean hierarchy in terms of a people who are on a different status as the
bossing other people
right,
around.
because here's what's said, Brother Dana, and I think I want you to maybe respond this. There are some who believe that people like yourself and your descendants are going to be the servants for throughout eternity. Like you, Brother Dana, as well as your descendants are going to serve the Israelites for an eternity. I would
for
like
eternity,
to hear,
Mike, for eternity,
well,
or during the millennial.
well, some believe for an eternity. I don't believe either one, but some believe that's their lot. That actually your salvation is only in that because of all of the heinous crimes that were against the Israelites, that their only salvation.
Thank you, Second Exodus. Thank you, Second Exodus.
It's as a part of being servants, and some of you got some radicals that make that servitude very strenuous, but then you've got others that are somewhat more mild who will say, well, no, it won't be hard, but they will be our servants. And so I would like to hear what your position. Do you believe you yourself and your descendants will be servants to African Americans or to Israelites, whether it's through the millennial or through eternity?
You know, if I have to judge serving based on how my life has been for 26 years, I personally will have no problem serving you for eternity. Because in serving you over these past 26 years, I have never been beaten, whipped, degraded, ostracized. I have been embraced. I have been built up. I have been loved. So if that's what serving the true people of God means, I don't have a problem doing that. You know.
What Mike got to say about that right there? What Mike got to say about that right there, Israel?
Listen, I can appreciate my dear brother's heart and spirit, right? Because it seems like his heart is in the right place. Whether or not theologically the scriptures are teaching that is another thing. I mean,
right.
I mean,
Mike, you don't believe in a literal 1,000-year reign on earth.
No, well, I'm not opposed to a reign. I'm not opposed to a reign on earth, whether that number 1,000 is literal or not. Theologians debate, and I
majority of us believe in a 1,000-year reign, Mike. Majority of us believe. You don't believe Jesus gonna be down here?
Christ is going to be down here. He's going to set up an eternal. Scripture talks about an eternal kingdom. But again, those things I think are secondary. You know, eschatology can vary because it's obscure in many places. So I don't harp hard about that. Whether a person believes that it's a literal 1,000 years, whether the number 1,000 is symbolic, as a day with the Lord is as 1,000 years. The cattle upon 1,000 hills belong to the Lord. So the number 1,000 can be used symbolically. Whether it's literal or not is neither here nor there for me. Christ is going to rule and he is going to reign right here. And I believe in a restored earth. But I guess where I was talking with you, Brother Dana, is whether you believe that the scriptures teach that you will have to be the servants. And again, not all, and let me make this clear, because Hebrews Israelites are in the comments getting upset with me. I'm not saying they all teach like that, but there are some that do. And so I don't believe that of you. I believe that when scripture makes a Gentile a believer, they become a fellow citizen with the saints. Right. Same body, same privileges, same promises, and same rights. I think that the scriptures absolutely communicate that clearly. The only one that we will be serving in that sense is the Lord Jesus Christ. We'll all take off our crowns if we have one and set it at his feet. But I wouldn't want you, my brother, to have to set a crown at my feet. No, we're to serve him. And so my question was related to what you believe the scriptures teach.
Yeah, you know, and Mike, I have to throw this out. According to my past studies, I would say no, that we would not serve. But to be frankly honest with you, sometimes I'm almost starting over on some of these things because I don't know at times what is true, what is not. Christianity taught me to fear the devil written apocrypha. But when you look at the apocrypha, it gives truth that the religion of Christianity didn't want to be known. So I according to how I was brought up in that, I would say I agree that I myself would not be a servant for this reason. When a stranger cleaved and followed the ways of the chosen people, God told those Israelites to, like you said, embrace them as if they were natural born. So that to me says nothing about servanthood. Okay.
Amen.
So that's where I'm at. But I always leave a little bit, not to be a cop out on that question, but I leave a little bit of I'm still open because I don't know how much scripture may have been taken or changed a little bit or taught in a certain way. So my whole philosophy is this: if I'm serving Jesus Christ and I'm loving him, I don't believe he will ever put me in a position of turmoil. I just don't believe that, and especially when his own people rejected him, and so then he invited all of us to come to the banquet. So
Absolutely.
when I think about he told his servants to go invite anybody and everybody you see and dress them in white, that to me doesn't show anything of servanthood. Now, what about my white evangelicals or family members that reject this truth? Is there some type of serving for them? Maybe. I don't know. You know, but I'm still on this journey and I'm still grasping things, and I want my spirit to always be open to hear what my Hebrew Israelite camps might be sharing, as much as I'm going to listen to, what some of my fellow Hebrew brothers and sisters are saying, because truth is truth. And regardless if it's coming from somebody that dislikes me or tells me I'm going to have to be a servant and I need to kiss their feet, or whether it's coming from somebody like you that is saying, I don't believe that, I want my heart to be open to receive from everybody.
Okay, Sunday, two people said Monday. Sunday at 7:30. Is Sunday at 7:30 okay? We could pick this up then. Is Sunday at 7:30 all right for you?
Sounds good to me.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
All right, Sunday. I'll give you your information one more time. Everybody know Mike information. Give your information one more time.
All right.
Gmail, you got an email if they want to. I'll take the questions. Y'all can send the questions, and I'll have those ahead of time. But anything else, y'all want to give them? Just give them your email.
Yeah, my email again is Dana, DANA, at onelovesociety.love. All words. Onelovesociety.love.
You got that, Mike?
Society.love. All words. Just put Dana at for my email, or put www.onelovesociety and you'll get to our webpage.
Okay, that's this Sunday, correct? Somebody just asked that. This Sunday at 7:30. Matter of fact, as soon as I get off here, I'm gonna make that up right now. I'm gonna schedule that right now. All right.
All right.
All right. I appreciate everybody. We appreciate y'all. I'm getting out of here. Let me check this email and see what my church folk talking about.
Evangelist Brown, Brother Brown, William
I see
Brown.
I don't know if this is the first time I saw his thing right here. I'm not sure if he was on or he just jumped on. We're gonna definitely let try to see if he's available Sunday later on, so he could jump on also, and we'll bring a few people on and off whilst you're discussing what you're discussing. All right, everybody, I'm getting out of here. No collard greens for me. Maybe somebody got some leftovers tomorrow. All right, God bless y'all. I'm going.
Hey, shalom.
Good night.
Thank you.